In this demo, I will show you how to run a pipeline where the tests will be executed in a Docker container. So remember, our Jenkins is already running in a Docker container, but if we run any step, it will still run on this Jenkins master container. And that's what we don't really want. We want to run every command on a separate, isolated container that has some dependencies and binaries bundled with it. And those dependencies and binaries we want to choose ourselves. So this is actually an alternative to using the tools that are bundled with Jenkins. Like Node.js is bundled so that we can use the npm commands, but the alternative here is then to use a Docker container that ships Node to then execute npm commands. So let me show you the code that can do that. I created a new Jenkins file, a Jenkins v2. And this is very much the same as the previous one. So we still have the preparation stage and we have the build and push stage. But here then we have two new stages, or this stage is changed and this stage is new. They are independent from each other. They're just two different examples. So let's start with this example first. Let me show you the previous example again. So here, to execute these npm commands, we say we need the bundled Node.js that is bundled with Jenkins. We installed the Node.js plugin in Jenkins. That plugin downloaded Node.js, and then if we say we want to use this Node.js installation, then we can use the npm install and npm test. In the tool configuration in Jenkins, we specified, let me show you for if you don't remember, we specified exactly what version we want. So if you click here on the Node.js installations, we installed Node.js 7.10. But sometimes it's possible that we want maybe 6.10 for one project and maybe a very old version, maybe a 0.11 for an older project. So we can install multiple ones here, but then we need to manage those multiple installations, and it can get sometimes quite tricky. Sometimes the software is not even bundled with Jenkins. Like if we need some other software, maybe it's not even bundled, and then we need to manually install it. So it can get difficult here. And one of the solutions is to run our commands in a Docker container. And that is what we are going to do right here in this stage. So in this stage, we say the test container that I want to run my tests in is going to be an image, a Node image with version 4.6. Then I want to make sure that I pull the latest one. If there's a version cached, I want to make sure that Jenkins still goes to Docker Hub, checks that I have the latest version, and then pulls the latest if there's a newer version. And then inside this Node 4.6, inside this Node 4.6 container, I'm going to execute these commands. So Node.js doesn't need to be installed in my Jenkins container anymore. I can just create a new container next to my Jenkins container and execute these two commands. After these commands are executed, the container is just thrown away, and then the next stage is executed. At any point when I want to change my Node version, I just change this version here. Another image will be pulled, and my install and my test will be executed using this other container with a newer version. The next bit is a little bit more interesting. We are going to do the same two commands, npm install and npm test, but I want also next to my Node container a MySQL container. So I'm first going to say MySQL equals Docker image MySQL. I don't use a tag here, so it means the latest version of MySQL. I'm then going to run this container, and I'm going to specify an environment variable MySQL allow empty password, yes, so there's no password protection on this MySQL, and this container can be removed after it has been used. I'm then going to say still my test container is node 4.6. Again, I'm going to pull it. But then inside, so here is the inside, no arguments are given. Here I'm going to give an argument. I'm going to say, link this Node.js container with this MySQL container. So this is going to use the MySQL ID and make then this available as MySQL. So after linking, MySQL will be available using the host MySQL and the port 3306. So then you can just do in node connect to MySQL and you just put host MySQL. And then you can connect to your MySQL whenever you are executing your tests. Once your tests are executed, once this stage is finished, the container will be just thrown away. The tests are executed and then we can still do a Docker build and push. So let me show you in Jenkins how this works. So I'm just going to create a new item. Tests in Docker, it's a pipeline. And then I'm going to say script from SCM, from Git, docker demo.git, for my master, and the Jenkins file that I want to use is Jenkins file v2. I'm going to build this, and then let's have a look. So now first preparation, then test, then it will do the other test, and then the build. So let's start from the top. First time build, getting my Git commit ID, and here I am pulling node 4.6. So now we are right here, pulling the node 4.6 image. And then Docker is going to execute a Docker run to then run the node 4.6 container, and then it's going to run npm install only develop in this node 4.6 container. This is all installing, and then it will run the tests in the Docker container. This stage is finished. What will happen? Docker stop, Docker rm to remove the container. Now we are in a new stage again. In this stage, so same stage, only we are going to use a MySQL container. We're going to run a Docker container using this environment variable to make sure that we don't put the password on it, --rm MySQL. Then we are pulling the node image again. This image is up to date, and then we are running a new node image. And this node image will be linked to our MySQL image. So this is the link that you see. We are linking the ID. This is the Docker ID. We are linking the MySQL container to this node container. So this is the ID of the MySQL container. So this is this MySQL ID. This gets resolved to this ID. And we want to use MySQL as a name of this container, so that we can use the host MySQL and port 3306. And then we do npm install again. You can see that we don't download it anymore because the directories are still shared. The container is not shared, but the directories are. So the workspace directory is always the same. In this workspace directory, we already have the node modules, and then we run the npm test. So this is a new container, but it's using the same workspace. And in this workspace, we have the node modules. So those are cached here. Run npm test. Tests are completed. And then we are going to build the project, and then it's going to be pushed. And it is pushed with success. So now this is pushed to Docker Hub. This shows you how you can easily, within Jenkins Pipelines, you can easily use any third-party tool. You can bring in any container with the tools, the dependencies, the binaries that you want. And just after I recorded this course, I realized that the MySQL container was not automatically removed. So I just needed to add one more line to this script to not only have our Node.js container removed, but also our MySQL container. And what I need to add for that is right here at the bottom, I also need a MySQL.stop. I'll just refresh this page because I committed the change. I removed this --rm because this is not necessary anymore. It's automatically done. It will stop the MySQL container and it will remove the container. So after this line, between these two lines here, the Node.js container is removed. And then we manually instruct the Docker pipeline to also remove the MySQL container. Because MySQL is a service, it's a daemon running, and otherwise the Jenkins plugin doesn't really know when to stop MySQL. So we need to say it manually here, MySQL.stop. So that's it for this demo. I hope this was useful for you. If you're trying to build something like this, remember that you can do this with any service that you want. I'm using MySQL here, but you could use Memcache, Postgres, Oracle, any database that is available as a container you can use here, or any service that you would want to use, as long as it's available as a container, or you can even start building your own containers.